And we are live, guys. Welcome to the TryPod. This is a special edition. This is NFL season kickoff, special announcement and mini preview. So, guys, I obviously understand the NRL finals start Friday night. The team lists have dropped this afternoon. This is not an NRL pod. If you're an NRL follower, this is not going to concern you. I'll be getting back to the grindstone on NRL, and the regular finals preview is going to be tomorrow, normal time slot, Wednesday night. But, guys, the NFL season actually kicks off Friday as well, and then week one we've got a slate of 15 more games coming up in under a week from now. And so I brought on some special guests, guys, who I'll introduce in just a second, because I want to let everybody know what the plans are for the pod for the NFL. Now, in the meantime, fire in any questions you have, any questions you got about the NFL season. You just fire them through. We'll see them come up, and we might actually try and address a few more of them through the show. The first thing I have to just say is I'm not going to be doing weekly preview pods. I'm not going to be doing NFL tips. So that's breaking the trend from the last few years. I think 4 or 5 years, the TryPod, we've shared best bets and weekly previews of the NFL. And I'm simply not doing it because I pretty much need a break. It's been a pretty busy year for me as well, especially since I took over the pod solo. I brought a little one into the world, as Maddie has in the last couple of days as well. So congratulations, Maddie, the Undertaker. And we'll talk to Maddie about how that's going as well. And that's going to be a challenge for Maddie. But also it's just, I don't know if I can necessarily do the tips justice. If I was, I feel like it's getting to the point where you start to get a bit of a burnout factor. And it's just, I would never share any tips of any kind, and would never have in 7 years, unless I could do it, all in. So that's the way it's always been for me. I'll never take shortcuts. You guys know in the NRL this year, the pod is going to be late if I'm not fully prepared, rather than me, trying to rush into anything. So that's the great thing about what I'm going to announce tonight, because I've got some boys here who are hungry, who have got the energy, and who are going to be giving it 100% and still bringing you quality content. So on that note, I'm going to introduce Nettie Given Sunday. Nettie, let us know, you're not new here. People should know you, especially NFL followers. This would be about your second or third season of doing the video once a week. And if you go back before that, you used to do us a weekly column, and you've been providing content for the TryPod for close to 5 years now. How you doing, mate? And what can we expect for this season?
Well, I will be expecting my long service pro rata from you guys pretty soon. I'm expecting that more than anything. Like always, guys, plenty of content, plenty of videos, and plenty of bets. I think I think on the TryPod app, I think we've got 1,200 or so tips over 3 years. So there's going to be plenty of tips this year. Doesn't stop. We won't stop.
And you've got your type of previews as well. You've already done a couple before this season. I thought especially a standout of what you've been able to do is really let us know what to look forward to with these new first-round quarterbacks. We've got a bunch of exciting rookies coming in. So for those of us who didn't watch a lot of college football last year, that has really helped give me a feel for what to expect out of the 5 rookies. And I think the great thing about Nettie's got such a unique aspect and also incredible knowledge of the game, incredible passion. It's going to be a bit more of a variety show. And basically just what Nettie does is brings the NFL to life, especially to Aussie fans, and to kind of help from an Aussie perspective. And you're also getting really gun with your editing and incorporating real NFL game film. That's really high standard. I think some of the best NFL breakdown film available across social media. So that's a show. Can you tell us as well when that's going to be on, and any ideas you've got to bring in for the upcoming season?
We've got a couple of sort of sneaky ones we've got forward this year. I'm actually looking to get more in the local leagues of NFL and start talking to the players and sort of what influenced them into getting NFL, as well as sort of seeing how they play the game. I know it might not be as in-depth as what the NFL level is, but just seeing just sort of the local leagues and what they sort of experience, I think will sort of be interesting. Nettie Given Sunday will be out every Sunday at 4:30. It's there every week. If it is late, it is because the editing has run overtime and the internet shit itself. That's all I'll say to you on that one.
And as well, I think you'll share tips in the TryPod app, and potentially we'll be able to put them in the group as well. And then I got to introduce the gentlemen that are below me on the screen, and that's Barney and Matt. I mean, you should guys probably know Matty O'Keefe in the bottom right-hand corner, the Undertaker. You may know him better as. And these boys are going to be the two faces of the Prop Me Up pod or video Facebook show, which is going to be an NFL tips and props preview show available every Saturday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. As I said, you guys know Maddie, I mean, as well as sharing a lot of unders plays, sharing prop plays going back to last NFL season, you're maybe most well known for the Deshaun Watson passing yards leader. What odds was that again? 27-1? Is that right?
26-1, and I'm still dining off it.
But I have a feeling there's going to be more value found by yourself, mate. So again, congratulations, new first-time father. So that's an additional challenge for you. But that's just I found when I went through that journey last year that there were hours of the night where I just had to be awake because a little person in my life didn't want to sleep. So I actually was working as well, had the headphones in and gone through hours of pods to build up my knowledge on sports that I wanted to tip. So I'm sure you can utilize the time where you may not be able to sleep towards this new show, which I'm really excited about and we're going to talk about. And then Barney is a long-time member of the group. Barney, you can let us know how long you've been there. And I'll say this respectfully, mate, I would describe you as an absolute tragic when it comes to sports fandom. And Aussie sports, but NFL all the same. And you're going to act as Matt's host, Matt's shepherd, and kind of just like bring the gold out of Matty. Matty's going to be, putting in all the work, all the hours, finding his sharpest and best value NFL plays he can every week. And then you're going to be there to bounce back off him, but as someone who's got a great deal of knowledge. So can you tell me what you've got planned or what you're excited about for this season of Prop Me Up?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. There's no other word to describe it than tragic. I think I've been following the pod now for 5 years, maybe 6 years. I remember back in my IGA days, I was a $10 unit punter, and hitting that 100-1 was just crazy back then. And I've upped my units a little bit now, but just absolute footy tragic. NRL, AFL, NFL, I lap it all up, but NFL is definitely my favorite now, and cannot wait for this season to get ripping in. That's for sure.
And so both of you guys, both of your shows, Any Given Sunday and Prop Me Up, you guys have done a couple of episodes already, or we've had at least one Prop Me Up so far, haven't we? Which I think was a comprehensive, full hour. Which you guys can find these all on Facebook Watch, looking up the episode titles, and on the TryPod under TryPod videos. And I mean, the Prop Me Up was an awesome season preview. You guys went through all the divisions, talked prospects of teams, but also players and player props that you liked. And I'm going to get you guys to touch on again some of your favorite plays you may have already shared. And again, what I think you guys are going to do is kind of similar to the way Alex and I used to do a weekly preview. Alex and I, we ultimately said, look, there's actually 16 games a week. It takes too long to actually go in depth in every game. So we actually said we'd decide which ones we had best bets on, just talk about those games and why we had a best bet, and then people can ask about anything else. And I think you're not necessarily going to be tipping sides and totals as much, but I'm sure you will if you find value. But you're obviously, as the title suggests, going to be sharing a lot of player props. So that's going to be a preview. You're going to be obviously sharing these tips. And the great part of what we love about the TryPod community is it's not just here's a tip and it's gospel. It's here's a tip and here's why I believe it's value. And then people can decide for themselves. And that's going to be Saturday Arvos. And then you're going to put up a summary graphic as well. So even if people don't have the time to listen live or whatever, they can find that graphic in the TryPod group. That's the plan, right?
Yes, yeah. So TryPod group, and we'll chuck it in underneath the video as well in the comments. Sort of
Beautiful.
About an hour after the pod, give everyone a chance to get on that's watching live.
And I encourage anyone who's into it to share their knowledge and also, argue any points or anything you disagree with. Share your own tips as well, because as a community, we want to all knowledge share. It's only just putting our opinions out there, and that's going to help us all hopefully find more value bets. If people are wondering, me personally, I'm still such a huge fan of the NFL, so I'll still be following. So what I will do is follow this NFL season like I would with NBA, where I'm a big fan of it. And as you guys know, I just kind of just dipped in here and there. If I saw something jumping out at me, I can still share value play from time to time. We did really well with NBA. I know we won a couple of juicy division bets where I just stumbled upon them because I am that kind of sicko that is scrolling, odds all hours of the day and night. and found a couple of plays I like. So that's the kind of way I'm going to approach the NFL, but not having that pressure of I've got to prepare every week. I've got to look at every game, every angle. I've got to be across all this news. And then I've got to, create a show and get it uploaded and published. And then I've got to sweat these best bets every Monday and potentially get attacked every Monday. So it's just going to be nice to have a break. You guys got to imagine that for me, it's like 30 weeks straight of NRL and then it's rolled straight into NFL. And it's basically just been like February's without best bets after the Super Bowl until round 1 NRL. And that's the only time where I'm not like on tenterhooks, so to speak. So it'll be kind of nice for me to take a backward step, but I'll still be supporting you guys 100%. And on that note, guys, so I mean, I'm not going to guarantee, just like I don't guarantee with my own tips as well, like nobody's guaranteeing anybody profit, but what I can guarantee about you guys, because I know these boys well enough, is they're going to give 100%. They're going to be giving their absolute best. And I just know from the group chat that we've got going and the amount of planning that's gone into this, these guys are full of energy and enthusiasm that they're just going to give this season a full crack. And I think that's a win for TryPod followers because you get a new voice. Like you've heard me for years, kind of, how I look at the games and what I'm looking for. So you can still kind of take principles that you've learnt following the TryPod, following the NRL season. We've had another successful NRL season. You still apply those principles to hopefully improve your punting for the NFL. But now you get some new voices and you get people that do it a different way as well. There's no one set way to find value. And like Nettie looks at it totally differently. I've described Nettie before as a guy that had all the NFL knowledge in the world, but was a kind of a novice punter. And then he's built up his punting knowledge to the point where now, Nettie, you've tipped over 1,000 picks on the TryPod app, basically all of them NFL, and with a 55% win rate, that's verified, and that's obviously cross-checked by users. Like that's a phenomenal win rate on NFL, one of the toughest sports to beat. So I'll be happy to kind of sit back. It's not a matter of me like not having confidence, although I must admit the TryPod itself and the NRL tips are a hard act to follow every year. We roll straight off the NRL where I think we're as good as anybody that does it. And then you got to go tip NFL. And like last year, I think TryPod went 57% against the spread in the NFL, and it didn't seem too impressive. And, I think we won 60 units multis last year, 100 units the year before, and people were still complaining if a multi didn't win for 6 weeks, because it's very hard for people to appreciate it. But on that note, I just hope that people can understand as well that they've got to give you boys a chance too. So these guys by no means should be held to a certain standard. I'm not saying they can't do even better than the TryPod, but it's just a matter of these guys are, I really believe like 60% or whatever, that's not like the benchmark you have to hit. That's elite. Really breaking even punting is a win because we're doing it because we want to have fun, and the bookies set the odds up that you're not meant to win long term. So anybody who's even breaking even, and on that note as well, boys, like, if you follow the TryPod, people would be really aware that I've been suffering for the last, as we lost Nettie there, but, I've suffered through a bit of a losing streak recently. So I actually hope that takes the pressure off you boys, because people can see any tipster can have a bad run too. So even if these guys start off a bit cold or whatever, a few tips don't go their way, it's so much more important to me that they've got the process down, and that's the thing about why I'm backing these guys, because I think I am a pretty good judge of people who know their stuff. And I can definitely tell that these boys, from the way they approach it, that they're really talented. And that's why I want to give these guys the platform to bring NFL content every week. What do you guys reckon? Are you guys excited about, or can you talk about how you're going to track, I guess, your bets? And have you got any goals or what people's expectations should be?
My goals personally, we got Nettie back. Hi, Nettie.
I'm back.
my goals personally is just to come up with good handicaps and make good bets. Like, not all good bets win. Some bad and some losing bets win and some winning bets lose. You just want to get the handicap right, and what happens. That's just the goal, just to come up with sharp plays and let the cards fall how they may at that point. And
Nettie's his show is so much more beyond the bets, but you get the bets as well, and the record speaks for itself, and it speaks to Nettie's knowledge. And Nettie, you also had an initiative which is really exciting for people who watch either of your shows, and people who watch both are going to have a extra advantage. And these shows are going to be so different that they're going to complement each other. They're not really competition because they're coming at it from totally different angles. But Nettie, why don't you talk to us about the idea to give away an NFL jersey every 2 weeks.
Correct. So basically, we're going to put out a competition every 2 weeks, I believe. I only just sort of started getting some of this reception back, so I'm very apprehensive about what I say because I don't know where we led into. But yes, we're going to be giving a jersey away every 2 weeks. We'll be posting up a market on both of the, what would you call it, both of the shows where people can guess. And the closest to that number of whatever the market is will put you in a draw and the possibility to win a jersey. So your, I guess, haul could become as large as mine, but will never be bigger.
That's right. You guys, if you guys have seen Neddy's man cave. So yeah, basically it'll be the opportunity. So an example would be like, guess how many yards Brady's going to throw for this weekend. It's obviously free to enter, nothing to lose. You comment your guess. Nearest to the pin is going to put you in the draw because we're giving away one jersey every 2 weeks, but there's going to be 4 shows in that time. So basically 4 people will be in a draw every 2 weeks, and someone's going to get an NFL jersey mailed to their house just purely from guessing on the Facebook page. So that's just extra bonus for you guys, for anybody who tunes in. That's going to be exciting that, over 20 weeks, we're going to get to give away 10 NFL jerseys. That is also thanks to, as well as being thanks to Neddy's idea, thanks to Top Sport, who's going to support these shows as well. And it's just another bookie that is very worthwhile using for the NFL. On that note, guys, we're going to talk about our custom multi. So I'll go first. Let me see if I can bring it up here. This is my one. So 10-1, 7 legs. I've got Bills, Ravens, Vikings all to make the playoffs. I mean, I definitely think Bills and Ravens are pretty safe. We're talking $1.20, $1.30 range there. And I think if they're not winning their divisions, they're going to be second. I'll drop down to Bengals, Eagles, Raiders, Cardinals all miss the playoffs. I have them all in last place in their division. The Bengals are in such a tough division there with the Steelers, Browns, and the Ravens as well. Yep, thanks, Matty. And then the Raiders, I think, have a tough division too. We know obviously they share a division with the Chiefs, but the Broncos and the Chargers have, I think, positive prospects this year. Cardinals, same deal. They got 3 potential Super Bowl contenders in the NFC West in the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. And then the Eagles, you might say they're not in the toughest division, but I am actually high on both the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team, believe it or not. And then I actually even think, if I had to bet, that the Giants may finish higher than the Eagles as well. Now, of course, anything can happen in these, with these teams, but that's where all comes down to me, to the Vikings, who are roughly about a 50-50 to make the playoffs. And I just look at that as still a team with an elite coach, with a defense that fell off an absolute cliff last year for several reasons, with young players that were brought in, with a lot of players that didn't play because of COVID. So you get all those improvements. They're going to benefit from home field. I think that Kirk Cousins is a quarterback that could actually make a step up with some elite skill position players. So I am high on the Vikings, which is why I was willing to roll the dice there to get us a 10-1. And anybody can jump on that. You guys know we just won the 15-1 for the NRL. We won the Euro, and we lost the Olympics one. I'm still not really over it, but we lost the Olympics one because of one Japanese gold medal too many. 27 gold and 12 silver. That ratio just couldn't have been any closer together, could it? Boys, Maddie, you've suggested a custom multi. Can you run us through yours as well, which will give us an idea of what you're thinking for teams to do well and also not so well in the season 2021?
I haven't got my custom multi in front of me now. It wasn't up on Top Sport, but I can try and wing it best I can.
Yeah.
I had Green Bay, the 2 Bays, Green Bay and Tampa Bay to win their divisions. I just think they're just like extremely likely to do that. And I've got to miss the playoffs. I think I had a lot of your ones. Also had Chicago to miss. They've just got a really brutal schedule. I think they're going to go under their win total. That's a good bet of mine. And to make, I've also got San Francisco to make. I don't think you had that in there. So just from memory, I can't think of it all, but that's about it with your ones as well.
And because it hasn't been priced up yet, but people can check the TryPod Facebook group and they'll see exactly which ones are priced up now, and check the Top Sport app as well. It's just under NFL season multis. They've already put up about 10 odd, and they're working their way through. Tristan's been diligently working away and given some juicy odds as well. So we'll check on Maddie's. I don't have any disagreement with your Maddie. What about you, Neddy? You cooked one up as well.
I do, but I'm just going to reply to Betting Tips 1000. Why don't you have the Bills and 49ers in that prediction, mate? Only teams that can make a Super Bowl are the Bucks, Chiefs, Browns, Bills, and Rams. No, disagree. But anyway, my bet. We're going to jump into that one. So I've got to make the playoffs. I've got San Fran, Dolphins, Vikings in, Saints, Bengals, Cards out, and Broncos over 8.5 wins. I'm pretty similar to Jacob. I think the Vikings have a lot to, I guess, probably the biggest sort of spin on things, getting the crowd back in the stadium this year. I also like the Dolphins because everyone's underrating Tua. You got to remember, this guy come off a major fucking injury with his hip. They've got a relatively easy schedule, and they've got a lot of weapons that they've added to the offense this year. They've got a great coach. I believe in the Dolphins a little bit, and I think they're flying under the radar. So I think they're paying $2 to make the playoffs. I think that's a good one to slot in there. Broncos, I've spoken about plenty. I think they've got the right quarterback for the job. No Drew Lock. Sorry, Jonesy. I think Teddy Bridgewater's good, and they've got a stacked defense in there. And what should we call it? Fangio? Yes. He's been doing a lot of good things with that defense and defenses prior to Denver for many years. And now he's starting to really stack those players up there. They're a pain in the ass on defense. Teddy plays safe. They've got the weapons. I think they'll sneak over 8.5 wins.
I like that as well. I'm kind of bullish on Miami too. I don't know why everyone's written off Tua when it was like tank for Tua, and he was the most highly touted quarterback in that whole crop. And I can't remember if he went one pick. He might have gone one pick higher than Herbert or one pick after. I think they were about 5th and 6th in that draft. And Tua would have clearly gone higher if not for the hip concerns. And now he's overcome that now. And I mean, he had a shaky first year last year, but he didn't get a full preseason. So I could see that. I think it's like Barney's sitting there in a Josh Allen jersey. Like, Josh Allen didn't have a great rookie year, and then last year exploded onto the scene and is now, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So not everyone is exactly what we've seen from him last year. There's certain players take leaps, and I think there is that potential with Tua because we know he has the talent. I just wanted to give some other advice to people that are going to follow your guys' shows. Are you guys roughly aiming for a half-hour show per week, or can that vary? Barney?
It never knows with me.
I think that's about the plan. Yeah, sort of 20, 30 minutes. I think we're aiming for. We'll see how we go, I suppose.
Yeah, I encourage you guys even to, I do say less is more. I mean, I don't want you guys to cut out good quality, but I think always aim for shorter. And then if there's anything else that has to kind of fill in there, as opposed to ever feeling like you have to meet a certain benchmark, I think it's going to be short and sharp. I mean, everyone's busy, but I think it's going to be well worth listening for people to get your tips, your props, especially for anyone that's looking to play any of themselves or multis on Saturday. And then Nettie's breakdown, which can be on various topics and just can make you smarter about the game and will know what to look for. It will be only Facebook-only show, so it's not going to be available as audio podcast or on YouTube. So I hope that doesn't disappoint too many people. Hopefully people can come and find it on Facebook. That's just for simplicity to get these shows up. And these guys, still lead busy lives and they're taking a lot of time out. And on that note as well, guys, I mean, I talked about how I struggle going through a losing streak or whatever. And to a degree, I'll tolerate, criticism and stuff when it comes to my tips. I will be kind of protective of these guys, though. I mean, these guys are, yes, Top Sport's going to sponsor their shows, and really that's going to help benefiting the TryPod, because if we still have people who want to join Top Sport over the summer, that helps me with ongoing costs that I have running the TryPod as a business, app hosting, website hosting, administrative costs as well. These guys are getting a very modest little incentive to shout out Top Sport, and they're never going to do it disingenuously. They're going to share tips on any bookie wherever they get the best value. But if there's anything good on Top Sport, they'll let you know for sure. So these guys don't deserve any hate whatsoever, and I don't want to see anybody writing anything nasty or anything. It's just going to be a waste for you guys to because I might just be a bit of a protective podfather. And that might be you blocked off the page, off the group and stuff. So don't go there. These are just these guys' opinions. Share your own. If you want to share your tips, share them in the comments. Share them on the Facebook post, which is going to have like a summary of the tips, or even do your own write-up if it's if you want to have a standalone post in the group. So I can only I just have to implore guys, treat these guys respectfully, because they really are generously giving up their time. So roughly half-hour shows. And speaking of, just getting as much NFL knowledge as you can, I thought we could all just share any other NFL podcast recommendations. Because I know you guys get through a bunch of NFL pods. I was just listening to the Pro Football Focus NFL podcast today. I really like that one. I find those guys extremely knowledgeable. I've shouted out RJ Bell's Dream Preview and with the GOAT Steve Fezzik on there for NFL betting in-depth discussion as well. Any other podcasts that you guys want to shout out that you listen to as part of your preparation or just enjoyment through the NFL season, boys?
I've got a few I really like. I'm a big fan of Drew Dimsick, Whale Capper. He's on Bet the Edge and covering the spread. He does as well work for them. And You Bet, Ken Barkley, Nick Kostos. I think they run a really, really great show too. They've got about 3 or 4 hours of content like every single day bar Sunday, basically. Really good stuff on those shows. A lot of guest hosts every single day, and you just get tons of knowledge out of them both.
I'm a great host. I threw a question out there to 3 people on a live show. That was always going to go well. Barney, what else do you listen to, mate? Any to add to that?
I think a good one, guys, and it's not a punning one, but especially for you guys who are a bit newer, or maybe you just follow the NRL, jump around the NFL. You know, they go sort of, I think they're 4 or 5 days a week, a bit more casual, light and breezy. They have a laugh. They chat the footy on the weekend. They break down all the games going in, and then they talk about them all in review as well. So that's a good one to get around if you're just sort of new and getting into it, and it's a good laugh. Nice casual one.
And how about yourself, Nettie? What do you get into each week?
One of the ones I get into is a Chris Sims podcast. I've actually met him in person. So Chris Sims played starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucks for a couple of years, and it was right after their, I think, 2002 Super Bowl win, I think. And he's one of my favorite to listen to because he tells it straight up, doesn't mince words. He's not a massive gambler, but at least likes to give you a lot of insight into how teams are run in the organization. And I think even after he finished playing, he actually worked behind the scenes for the Patriots. So he sort of gives a bit of insight into that. Plus he's piss funny.
It's Phil like Sims, you guys said.
Phil Sims' kid.
Not every pod has to be a punting pod, because if it can improve your knowledge of the sport, then you're going to know, like, you know, which teams, which players are most important, which units are going well, what matchups can be advantageous or negative as well, and that can actually fuel your punting knowledge. Like Pro Football Focus, I think they do a betting pod, and I don't really listen to that one as much. I like just their general NFL pod to kind of sharpen up what I understand about the game and what I should be looking out for. So guys, check out a few of those ones that we have mentioned or asked again in the comments if you want clarification. But that also gives you a great idea that you are getting a half-hour show from these boys who are kind of consuming hours and hours of content and curating it all, and then kind of regurgitating it and building it all into hopefully some value punting plays for the weekend. Another thing I just want to close on about these boys is just support them as well. Whether we can keep these shows going and how much reward we can give back to these guys comes down to how many people jump on, how many people interact, hit like, say thank you, say well done when someone, you know, steers you into a winner. Throw some banter. That's what we like to see in the community. All right, boys, we're going to do rapid fire predictions, okay? Where we're going to start is with you, Maddie, and then we'll throw to Nettie. You've already shared a bunch of preseason bets. Do you have like 2 or 3 that were your favorite so far that you've given out that you think are absolute gems? And can you tell us what odds they were and if they're still available or if the odds have moved? The Undertaker.
Yeah. A few months ago, I did post into the group Washington to win the division at $5 at that stage. They're about $3 now. And I remember commenting at the time I wrote it, like, are we sure that Washington aren't the best team in the division, like right now? I didn't understand all the love for the Cowboys being $2. Like, I guess they should be favourites maybe, but I just couldn't see any gap in between those two teams. One's 5, one's 2. Washington's who's got the best defense in the division by far, upgraded quarterback, upgraded weapons, and I still think they're gonna win the division at $3 now. Probably still value.
What, any others that jump out at you, mate? You want to share with us?
Yeah, I've got Tampa Bay most wins at $7, and that is still the price right now. And I don't understand how $7. I think if you play the season in a vacuum like 100 times over, they're going to have the best record 30, 40, 50 times, just with such a soft draw, such a loaded team, bringing back everyone. They're probably in the best shape of any Super Bowl champion to go back-to-back.
And it's a 17-game season, so what would be your prediction? How many you reckon they could win? I mean, like, kind of to win that bet, we're talking 15 wins?
They're losing 2 to the Panthers.
I think, honestly, they could be just a historically good team. Their win total's gone up, I think, to about 12 now. it just wouldn't shock me at all if they won 15, 16 games. I mean, there's a chance they could go unbeaten. They just are that good. There's just not a weakness either side of the ball. Great defense, great offense. The goat at quarterback. What more can you want? They could just be historically good.
I love having kind of long odds futures bets as well, which is like those multis we've shared out, because you can chuck it on at the start of the year and you don't even have to dive in every week and do a handicap or follow anybody. You've got stuff to cheer for. You've got teams to cheer. Like, let's say best record. That's not just one team you've bet on there. You're going to obviously cheer every Tampa Bay game, but anytime the Chiefs are playing or anytime, the Bills are playing, you're cheering against them. You're cheering on them to slip up because that's going to help your most wins. I actually backed the team at 34-1 to have the best regular season record. I don't think any of you guys will guess it. I would love to share that. I will actually share that in a few minutes' time when we get to dark horses. I would have shared it on the pod, but the odds dropped about $8. So I didn't feel it was as good once I got on there, but I'll still tell people because I'll be writing it. But it is a bit of a flyer. But did you have any more, Maddie, or we want to hear a couple of Netties?
One more. I will.
Give us one more.
Yeah. Sorry, Barney, you probably had this one as well, so I'm going to steal it off you. But Houston under 4.5 wins. We did that mechanically, and we got like just under $2. And now it's a flat 4, so it juiced to the under in a lot of places too on the 4. But Houston, I'll just tell you now, are never, ever, ever winning 5 games this season. Never. Just book it.
What have you got for us, Nettie?
A couple I posted out. I've got Mike Davis over 775 rush yards, and I've got Javonte Williams over 780 rush yards. Both of them have dropped 10 cents, not as hectic as the other boys. And I've also got Denver over 8.5 wins. That's moved up to 9 wins as well. I've spoken about this poetically about Denver. I think they're moving in the right direction, and I think Javonte Williams is a far better back for them because Melvin Gordon is on the way out. So they're the ones that a couple of the main futures I've put forward that I think are pretty good.
And we'll give a shout out to Matthias there who commented, because he also did a standalone post in the TryPod group yesterday, and his favourite season win bet for the season was also the Broncos, taking them over 8.5 wins for a lot of the same reasons. And I've got Mike Davis on my fantasy team, so I'll be happy with that, just to let people know he was playing for your Carolina Panthers, but now he's on the Falcons, being coached by Arthur Smith, who last year was the OC for Derrick Henry, who led the league in rushing yards, obviously. So that bodes well for the situation that Mike Davis is in. Did you have any preseason bet, or just any of the ones that the boys have tipped, Barney, that you liked the most, or did Maddie steal your thunder there?
Yeah, Houston was my favourite for sure. I don't mind Denver either. It has, I think Maddie gave it out at about $1.97, under 5 for Detroit. I think it's about $1.77, which I still think's quite great. It's hard to see him getting to 5. It's a tough draw this year. The division that the NFC East play is the 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals division as well. So that just makes it even harder. There's 4 that they're not winning there, and they just got a bit of a really rough go. So.
And similarly with like the Lions and the Texans, it's like they've signaled their intent that these rosters are not set up to succeed this year. So it's actually, with the draft, the way it works, there's incentive actually to not be good, which is what definitely looks like is on the cards for those couple of teams. So it may feel square to play the worst teams in the league under on their win total. But when you actually get through watching them every week, and half the games they're no chance, and even in the games they are a chance, they look like they're trying to lose, then it actually will take fair job for those teams to get 4 or 5 wins that it would take to beat those bets. All right, just other things we're looking forward to this season. Guys, we'll try to go rapid fire as we fly through these, and we'll go around the horn. So we'll go clockwise from me. So we'll go Maddie, Barney, then Nettie. The rookie, of any of the rookies, who are you most excited to watch play for whatever reason this season?
I'm going to go away from quarterback to be different, but genuinely as well. Kyle Pitts, just a freak of an athlete. And he can just put up insane numbers this season in the Dome with Matty Ryan passing to him, and not much else on offense there. Yeah, Kyle Pitts, I'm really looking forward to watching him this year. Going to be a beast.
Barney?
For me, and I got a bit of fantasy motivation there as well, but Najee Harris over at Pittsburgh. Really, really looking forward to seeing him unleash, and a lot of volume over there, so can't wait to see what he can do. That hurdle... I don't know if you've all seen it back at Bama. He's dead set leapt 1.5 meters off the ground and just cleared someone. Fantastic. And I am looking forward to seeing a bit of Trey Lance as well. A bit raw, but really, really talented. Could be the next exciting Kyler Murray kind of Deshaun Watson style guy.
Nettie.
I will die on this hill because I was someone that jumped on this pretty hard. I will say Zach Wilson, but to stay away from the quarterbacks as well, I'll say Terrace Marshall Jr. He was someone that sort of outsnapped Justin Jefferson, and the dude from the Bengals, Jamar Chase, outdid him with production and snaps when he was at LSU, and now he's got the same guy who was calling plays for him in college, calling plays for him in Carolina, and he's been very solid through the preseason. Terrace Marshall Jr. Everyone playing.
Had to go a Carolina Panthers player, of course. All right, maybe we're out of order here, but guys, just throw me. Again, we'll go clockwise, starting with Maddie. Your Super Bowl. If you had to pick a Super Bowl, and who wins it?
I'm a chalk eater. I've just got to go back to KC and Bucks, and I'm going to go KC to get the revenge. Even though I do think right now Bucks might be slightly the better team. Just motivation, KC.
Barney.
Give me Packers and Bills. I'm going to homer it up, but
that's the two teams that lost in the championship games last year, so they could definitely go one step further. It should be in the mix. Nettie, who have you got?
Chiefs. I love that. As soon as the Super Bowl finished, the first thing they said was, what was our weakness? Offensive line. And they said, fuck it. And they shipped some people out and brought some people in. I love that.
Beating who? Who have you got coming out of the NFC?
Whoever wants it.
Probably Carolina. Well, okay, speaking of that, guys, I asked you guys to come up with a dark horse. So, Maddie, who's your dark horse? Actually put me on the spot with I'll come back to you there. Somehow I didn't even think of that myself. I mean, I think those two teams, Kansas City and Tampa Bay, are favourites for a reason. So I haven't really looked. It's hard to look too far outside of that. Although I will share a dark horse and maybe an overrated team with you. But you tell us first, Maddie, who's the team that you think could really surprise people in 2021?
I don't know if they're going to surprise, but I think as a dark horse, the Chargers, their win total's at 9.5, but wouldn't surprise me at all if they got to like 12, maybe even 13. Upgraded O-line, he's got a lot of his weapons back, Herbert, and Herbert himself is just going to be an animal. And they don't have Anthony Lynn coaching anymore, so he's going to automatically get 5 extra wins right there.
That's what you call addition by subtraction. What about you, Barney, your dark horse?
Yeah, not a Super Bowl contender necessarily for mine, but and Maddie's touched on earlier, Washington. I think people are catching on, but I still really love them. I think they could easily be the best defense this year. And Fitzmagic coming in the building, got McLaurin there, Gibson as well. Young guys that can break out. I just think they're going to be really, really good this year.
That's a really popular dark horse as well, and it piggybacks perfectly off Maddie picking them at $5 odds to win their division. Nettie, who's your dark horse?
I'm going to stick with Miami. They face, I've got it here, the 4th easiest schedule, and they actually only have 2 home games between week 7 and week 16, where it's a Monday night game. I think Tua's still an upgrade. I think they've finally got an offense to put around Tua, whereas last year it was sort of an offense built around Fitz. So keep your eye on them. Waddle, Parker, Fuller. It's a dangerous offense.
Can any of you guys, just throw it out there, can any of you guess who I backed at 34-1 for best regular season record?
Baltimore?
It wouldn't be that
Baltimore would be shorter. Yeah, Baltimore would be shorter. And I definitely did consider them. I think losing Dobbins probably put me off them a bit. They definitely could. As you know, I've got them in my season multi. I don't think anyone's going to guess it.
Cleveland will be too short.
Yeah.
Yes, Nettie.
I'm going to go with Washington.
You know what? I think it's a team that's going to finish higher than Washington in the NFC East. I've gone the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. I feel like everyone's thinking they're a joke in Hard Knocks. And look, they may well be. They may not have a great year. And maybe Dak, struggles to bounce back from that injury. And everyone's talking about the Washington defense. But in this day and age, a great offense, like a top 5 offense beats a top 5 defense. And I think Dallas has that type of ceiling. I think Dak, if he's balling like he was in the first month last year, about the wide receivers there, and even Zeke, they're saying he's fitter, and, Alex's old college buddy, Kellen Moore, calling plays there. And everyone says the Dallas defense is going to be a train wreck, but I don't know if defense is like 100% easy to predict every year. Sometimes you get units that perform a bit better than expected. I think there's that upside with Dallas. We're going to see very early when they play on Friday. I thought if I jumped on that at 34-1 and they upset Tampa, Nettie made a comment about Miami having the fourth easiest schedule. Dallas has the second easiest schedule in the league. So if they're a bit better and if they're just scoring 35 plus points every week, I think that gives a bit of interest. I would have shared that on the group, but within a few seconds of me having a little tickle on that, it was down to 26-1. So then I felt like, well, we've already lost $8 there. But I just thought I'll put that out there. People can still jump on it and maybe grab top-up odds. If they like my case there, I feel like it seems chalk to go America's team because they've underperformed for so long and they haven't made a championship game since the mid-90s. Maybe they're not the worst, a sleeper team. Go in the other direction now, though, guys. Is there an overrated or a disaster team? We'll start with you, Matty.
Yeah, I think the question here should be, who is your disaster team and why is it Houston?
But are they going to win? So for them to win like 3 or 4 less than expected, then you think that they could go a winless season?
It's in play, yeah. Like their win total's at 4, and I mean, I just can't get near it. I think maybe put it this way: their best chance of a win all season is this coming week 1 versus the Jaguars at home, and they're catching 3 points to Jacksonville at home. If that's the case, how are you ever winning 4 or 5 games? I just don't. So I think maybe 2 wins, maybe less.
And obviously, and you wrote it all up in the group as well. That, I mean, if people have been living under a rock or whatever, they had, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the world, but he's got some off-field issues, some scandals going on, and it's very unlikely he's going to play. And then that all plays into the fact that this Houston team could be a dumpster fire. Who have you got, Barney? Most overrated or potential disaster team?
Yeah, I don't know if they're overrated necessarily, but for me, it's the Giants. At least to start the year, they've just copying injuries left, right, and center. Daniel Jones, it is kind of do or die for him now, and with Golladay banged up and stuff like that, it's a tough way to come to the year. I know Saquon is meant to be ready to go for week 1 apparently, but when you got a young guy like that, they've invested so much draft capital in, coming off the back of a long-term injury, he's not going to get the volume, I don't think, that he's seen previously. So I think at least to start the year, it could be a bit of a shaky start for the Giants.
Isn't it funny? The Giants would have made the playoffs last year if Philly didn't tank that final game. And yeah. I know they're still salty about it. What about you, Nettie? Who have you got for a potential disaster team? Is it going to be New Orleans?
Well, they are one of the teams. Fuck the Saints, by the way. But also, no, I won't go with that. I've got the Cardinals. They actually faced the 9th hardest schedule, which doesn't seem too bad. But last season, I think they're a little bit sort of scattered under the radar. They played 6 games last year where they either played a rookie quarterback or a backup quarterback. And I mean, this year we've got, outside of their division, which we know is horrid, we've also got the Packers, Browns, Dallas, Titans, and of course the Panthers, who are going to be electric through the air this year. So I think the Cardinals fall pretty hard on their face, mate.
Yeah, it's just a tough one. The Cardinals are a fun team, and I'm like optimistic on Kyler Murray, but it's just a murderer's row for them. It's going to be tough. Yeah, I don't know how many games they're going to be favourites in. So there's a lot to like about them, and yet I still think they're going to finish last in that division. Speaking of divisions, we'll go around again and ask each of you guys if you could just make one division bet now, who would you be backing? Matty?
This is a funny one because I think when it comes to best value, people are going to laugh, but Tampa Bay at $1.50 is the best value on the board. That implies a 65% win probability. If they stay healthy, they're winning 100% of the time. But if you want actual odds, $2.88, San Francisco, easiest schedule in the NFL. They get 1 billion players back, and all the other teams in the division they've got a much harder path than they do.
Now, Tampa Bay, the funny thing is they didn't win the division last year. We all kind of think they did because they won the Super Bowl, but in fact, the Saints won it. Now, of course, the Saints have lost Drew Brees. There's a counter-argument to that Drew Brees didn't have a great year. So I guess I'm just thinking from that Tampa Bay point of view, like who could possibly beat them? I mean, I guess Atlanta, if they had a massive year, but the Saints, but I think we knew about the Saints like 2 or 3 years ago. They went all in. They knew it was coming to the end of Drew Brees' career, and they kind of went all in. They salvaged future draft picks, and so those chickens have to come home to roost at some point. I know, Nettie, you've gone under on Tampa, on Saints, so again, it does make Tampa pretty safe. You've got a team that won the Super Bowl, and I don't know where they got any worse. I don't think they lost any key players. All the band has come back. Now, you can say Brady's another year older, but we've all been saying that for the last 10 years, and it hasn't really shown in performance. So that's all. And as for 49ers, I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on them because a lot went wrong for them last year. But I guess question marks over quarterback play. We'll see. But we know that they've got a very sharp-minded coach there who calls the offensive plays. Barney, who have you got best division bet?
They're a little bit short, but Buffalo at $1.62. I know everyone's talking about how great this Patriots defense is going to be, but it's an offensive league. And, Josh Allen's just exploded onto the scene in year 3. Stephon Diggs there. They've gone and got Emmanuel Sanders, who's an older guy, but should be a decent, serviceable weapon as well. So I love the Bills there at $1.62.
I mean, the Bills were so much better than everyone else in their division last year. So if you're betting against that, you're either thinking the Bills are going to come back to the field, but a lot of people think they could go one step further, or you're seeing something in the rest of the eight. And I don't think anybody's going to say the Jets will win that division. But I mean, Nettie's made the case for the Dolphins, and there is a case to be made for the Patriots as well because they went out and spent a lot in free agency and they do get players back on defense. But like Stephon Gilmore, from what I'm hearing, isn't going to be playing in the first couple of months and potentially could even be trading block. Let us know what you think of the Patriots. I'm interested in that, Nettie, as well. But you can share your favorite division bet too.
I still think the Bills are a step above the rest. I don't know whether or not Miami's at that stage where they can compete with the Patriots. You've still got Bill there. They're still ridiculous. I mean, Mac Jones comes in, and as much as I was just criticising him at the start of the preseason, he definitely made me eat my own words very quickly, and I don't really want to touch on the Cam subject because I spoke about that too long the other day. So let's talk about a division that I think you can still get value. I think it's pretty much in the AFC North, and it's between the Browns and the Ravens in that one. I think you can get both of them still over $2. I believe the Ravens have been playing this game for too long, and they can continue to play this way, whereas the Browns, I think this is new territory for them. They had a very flipped on its head schedule from the year before to last year, where it went from really hard to really easy. So they might have been perceived to be a little bit better than what they actually are. The Ravens have been playing this game for ages. They're still professional. They still got all the pieces. You can still get Baltimore for $2 to win the division. I think they're better than Cleveland at this stage.
See, it's funny because I think the Browns are the more sexy pick coming in this year, but I'm with you that if I had to pick out of those two teams, I still have a sense that people are forgetting how dominant Baltimore were 2 years ago. The year that the Chiefs made the Super Bowl was really on the back of partially a really surprising upset where Tennessee went in and beat Baltimore and just kind of got up a big score and Baltimore panicked. But I expect a really good year out of Lamar again. I know there's question marks over their receivers, but they're not a pass-first team and a really well coached. They've got the GOAT kicker as well. So I'm with you on Baltimore, which I'm not hearing a lot of people take. And that's why I threw them in for the playoffs in my 10-1 season multi. All right, we're going to go quick now. We're going to talk running back, wide receiver, quarterback, right? And this is what I want to know. Not just who's the best in the world now, because anybody can kind of say that, but by the end of this season, I want each of you guys' prediction for who's going to be the best player. So who do you think is going to step up this year and prove themselves to be the best running back in the world, starting with you, Matty?
I might go a little bit outside the box and go Nick Chubb. I just think he's an animal. He's had 2 injury hit seasons. He's averaging, I think, over 5 yards per carry, and he's behind the best O-line maybe in the NFL. So I'll go Nick Chubb.
Barney.
I'm going to go super square, but I'm going to take Nettie's guy, Christian McCaffrey. Just does it both sides of the ball. He is that offense. He is unstoppable.
And Nettie, do you agree?
CMC. Yeah, pass first league. If you're getting a thumper back there, enjoy losing. Looking at you, Jacksonville. And if you're talking about Tennessee, one good season, honestly. CMC's number one still and will continue to be.
I also was split between a few guys. I think Nick Chubb could elevate. I wonder if he starts catching passes, does he open up a new dimension to his game? I think Kamara is still a freak. Let's see how he goes when it's not Breeze throwing him screens. And the guy who I still think may be the best running back in the NFL, let's see, we spoke about him earlier, Saquon Barkley. I think he just hasn't had the opportunity, but let's see if he gets healthy and gets back and leads the Giants to a few wins later in the year. He may actually still be the most electric. And can he ever justify being selected second in that draft 2 or 3 years ago? So I'll go Saquon. What about wide receiver? Same question, guys. Who will be the best wide receiver in the NFL 1 year from now? Matty?
I think Tyreek Hill's the most valuable, like on his team. Like if he was out, I think that it'd drop in more points. But I think Justin Jefferson will probably put up the best numbers this year.
Barney?
Devontae Adams, homer pick, but honestly, the route god, he's unstoppable.
And I think Devontae Adams is the best in the NFL right now, and so it's not unreasonable to think that he's going to stay, hang on to the championship belt there. Who have you got, Nettie?
I don't care about stats, mate. The one person that makes everyone's arsehole pucker every week is Tyreek Hill. He's still number one for me.
I actually agree with you. I think if I have to pick any player who's the best in the league, I think it is Tyreek Hill for the way he changes the game. My next question, because I think in a year from now, we will agree right now the best quarterback in the planet is Patrick Mahomes. There's no reason to think he wouldn't still be in a year from now. So my question, and you can tell me if you disagree with that, but my question is, who will we all be agreeing is the second best quarterback in the NFL a year from now? Because I think it's pretty wide open. Matty?
That's such a hard question, but I'm torn between about 3 guys: Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen. I don't know. Take your pick. I'm on the fence.
Barney?
Yeah, I got Rodgers, Allen, and a bit of a speculator. I like Herbert, actually. If he can have that big elevated season again, maybe not quite to 2, but in that kind of company, I think.
Nettie?
Pat Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers is still number one for me for 1 more year.
Yes, actually.
Say that again?
Pat Mahomes is number 2. I've been watching Aaron.
Oh, you're going to go Rodgers. So you're going to say, Rodgers number 1.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Pat is unreal, but I've seen Aaron do this for fucking years, mate. I still love it.
So, it's funny thing about Rodgers, there's a big argument that Rodgers' play had really declined in the last 5 years. But then last year, he was the best player by pretty much any metric. So now it's like, do you expect another season like last year? And then people said, well, that was because the Packers drafted a backup quarterback with the first-round pick. So, he lit a fire under him. But I would say, well, shouldn't he already be trying his best every year anyway? But I don't know. It's a funny one in Green Bay. Yeah, that too as well. And they've got who's in there now? Is it Matt LaFleur?
Yes.
And they've won, at least 13 games in the last 2 years. So, I don't know. Still give me Mahomes. But when I think about who is like the next best QB, the guy that keeps coming to my mind, and I don't think he's there yet, but he's so close, is also, I agree with you, Barney, Justin Herbert. That kid just looks like he has it. And finally, defense. Who do you think will be the most valuable defensive player in the league a year from now? Is it still Aaron Donald, or is there anybody else who maybe catches up to him, Matty?
I'm going to go the young bull, Chase Young. Absolute animal. Watch him go this year. And he's even come out with a quote. Can't remember it exactly, but it was words to the effect of, I'm just going to destroy people this year. I love it.
And I know you've tipped him Defensive Player of the Year as well in the group, 13-1?
Tipped him at 13-1, and he's about anywhere between $8 and $10 now, and that's just the outstanding value.
Who have you got, Barney?
Yeah, I feel super square again, but can't go past Donald. The man is an absolute freak and a sack machine. Do love Myles Garrett, though, as well. If he can behave himself and not get COVID as well this year. He's had some really good seasons, just disrupted for reasons. So love to see him get a full 17.
Nettie, does the best defensive player in the league these days have to be a pass rusher, like an edge rusher? Can it be any other player, or is it just a case that the other players can be game planned around more so, whereas you can't stop an animal on the defensive line? I don't is there any other position that potentially can impact a game as much as a freak edge rusher?
The most valuable defensive player in the league actually doesn't play in the league anymore, and that's Luke Kuechly, and it still fucking hurts day in, day out, mate. But, no, I don't know, with the way that the league's going, like, you can't underestimate the guys that can cover sideline to sideline. And I think when you look at, even for the Browns, I think off the top of my head right now, they've gone and got that Corrimer, the linebacker. Like, they specifically got him for speed to try and stop Lamar Jackson. And then you look at guys that the Chargers have, like the Derwin James. These guys will be extremely important, but at the end of the day, if you can smash the pocket, destroy it to pieces, that's what's going to disrupt the most games. It's going to be Aaron Donald. It is every year. It's sad to say, but it's great to watch.
Because like a gun cornerback like a Stephon Gilmore, I guess a team can just not throw their way. Whereas like a gun defensive lineman, I mean, yeah, you can negate him by doubling him, but then that creates mismatch problems and one-on-ones elsewhere on the line. So there's always a trickle-down effect. Someone else is commenting Nick Bosa as well. And I thought that would be a different way to approach it, to ask you guys, like, who do you think is going to elevate and who are the stars that people should be looking for? So those are the kind of key positions that we talked about. That's everything I had. Guys, we've gone a good solid, 55 minutes. Of course, it always goes longer than you expect, but I appreciate you guys joining me, and I appreciate all the work you've put in and that you're going to put in for 2021 NFL season. It's really exciting. It's awesome that we're going to have a quality show Saturday and Sunday leading into football on Monday. Of course, there's Thursday Night Football in America takes place Friday morning in Australia. If you guys have any nuggets or any gems that you find on that, you'll just share them in the group. But your show, otherwise, will preview the remaining, 14, 15 games that will take place that round. So this is my kind of pod for us to shoot the breeze and talk about what we're looking forward to this season, but also pass the baton for this year. I get to take a step back. I'll still throw my 2 cents in there as well with your handicaps as well, because I respect you guys so much that I'll challenge it as well and call it how I see it. But I look forward to putting our heads together, finding plenty of winners for the boys, and having a lot of fun enjoying the season. So cheers for joining me tonight, guys. Congratulations again, Maddie the Undertaker, Big Daddy Maddie. And we'll look forward to she all kicks off on Friday, and we'll look forward to both your shows. Prop Me Up, Saturday, 2:30 p.m., TryPod Facebook page exclusively. And Any Given Sunday, 4:30 p.m. on Sundays, of course, on the TryPod page as well. Thanks, guys. Cheers. Lego.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, boys.